All right. So we just made a restaurant API that does a lot of the um, management of a restaurant's inventory, administrative users, uh, the order history, orders, and basic customer login information. So you navigate to this URL. So make sure you go there. And if we try to access API-docs, we get all the documentation for this API. If you need to check a server, you would select it here. If you're doing localhost testing, you do it this way. If you did it on the render, you do it through the browser. You do it here. I'm showing off the admin routes, so I'll just do admin level of 1. And it says as 401, I have to have access. Well, maybe I'm just a malicious user. I want to see if I can still get something. Still gives me that whole information that I need to be able to do that. So now, another error that we've done is if we authenticated as the user, this is for customer. Select all, authorize. It's going to bring me to this. It's going to redirect automatically to user API docs. If I now try to do it, say I was a customer, still try to do it, I get a 403 response. I am forbidden to be logged in with the admin account. Same thing for the 2, 403. So now I'm going to log in as the admin. Still does the same thing. It's going to do a redirect. It did the admin up there. If I now try to do it, I get some data back. If I did order level 2, I get other data back. To post one, if I did something and I did a log out, how I would do that is auth / since I'm an admin /admin / log out. I'm now logged out, brings me back to the home -docs. That's not how you do that. You put in that extra slash I forgot. There we go. If I try to post, say I don't put any data at all, just a user, gotta log in. Did that for the put. Let's say I put in some data there. Give me access there. Denied. Gotta log in. I'm gonna copy that information up there. Still gotta have access. So now if I log in as admin, and I try to get to the posting, try it out. Chicken head 22 is my display name. First name is going to be chicken, and put 22 email. I'm going to do 22 chickens at farm.com. Give me yourself an OP level of 2, and I don't need a profile URI. Display name needs to have just English letters, so it's going to be basically English-based language. Numbers, periods, underscores, apostrophes, anything that can go in English name. Let's say I remove that. I have an extra space in there. It'll keep that extra space as my display name. But last name will need to be just letters. It follows the same English alphabet response. Last name is not actually required. So we can have some extra, we can keep out some information. So let's get this ID. So now I'm still logged in as admin. So I'm going to change, let's see, I added last name. I want to do chicken head. Execute. He now has a last name. It's in here somewhere. There it is. Head. Now I want to delete that. Try it out. Come on. There you go. I deleted that record.
First things first, what I'm going to do is go ahead and log out. Okay, so I'm going to be showing off the user's endpoint here. It works very similarly to the admin route. but we'll go ahead and just go through it here. For users, as an unauthenticated user, I'm going to try it out. You do not have access, which is exactly what's supposed to be given. It is a 401 error. You must be logged in. I can go through all of these. You'll get the same response for all of the endpoints because the users, to manage the users, you do have to be logged in and authenticated. So I'll just go ahead and go through that just to verify. You do not have access. Test 401. Trying to update a user. 401. Trying to delete a user. I'm just using a string from previous testing here, but yeah, you don't have access. So that's anticipated behavior for the user's route. You have to be authenticated. So just as with admin, we can go ahead and log in here using OAuth and my Google client ID and secret. We'll go ahead and be a user, not an admin. It'll redirect us here. And you'll see that when I go through certain functions do not give me permission to edit the resource or record, and certain functions do. So I can create a new user when I'm not authenticated because we want clients to be able to create users and edit their own user. And I don't need to be authenticated for that. So you'll see that I get a 200 response code. It was successful. And I am authenticated as a user. And users can also update records as well for their own profiles. We'll go ahead and authorize as an admin so that we can go ahead and get full accessibility to the user's endpoint. Again, using our Google OAuth client ID and secret. So now to get all user resource records as admin, I have the ability to do that. You'll see a couple test mongoose objects and then the document that we just created as a user. I can now get that user ID. I can search by user ID, which works exactly as intended. We'll go ahead and try just to show some validating of the data here for the get user ID. It does require a hexadecimal string, 24 character hexadecimal string, because that's the nomenclature for MongoDB IDs. So when I put in an extra 5 there, but the parameter query must use a valid hex string ID of 24 characters to perform the function. So there is error handling. You can see the error response is 400 bad request. It's not going to work, but when done correctly, it does. And that's true for all of the routes as well. For updating, we can go through and do this. We'll use the same information that we had earlier from the new user that I created just a few moments ago. The display name can just be any. I mean, it's kind of like a username. Like it can be anything in the English language, even some special characters. First name and last name are the same as well. The email does have to be a valid email. There's the profile picture. There's also a couple other fields that are optional, such as creation date. So we can mess around with that one just to show that we do validate all of the information. The creation date's added by default, just as the date of the user being created. But I can put this in here and say tomorrow, and I can try and update the record, and it should give me a. Oh, it didn't even let you do it, which is good. But we can test the email here. Get rid of that @ symbol, it's misformatted. For a creation date. Execute that. 422. You can see down here, it's an unprocessable entity. Unprocessable entity. The data is not valid. Email must be a valid email. So as you can see, we have error handling, data validation. It's all implemented on the server side so that we can protect the integrity of our data. We'll go ahead and just update this with a correct format here. And since I'm logged in as an admin, this endpoint will work. We'll get a success message and it'll return that new document after it's been updated. So when I go ahead to get the document now, you'll see we're back to an email. I can even change it to just CB or what have you. Execute that and it does update in the database. So that works. The last endpoint here would be deleting a user. You can go in here. Again, in this case, the only validation that needs to take place will be validating the user ID, but the parameter query must be a valid hex string. When that is correct, it will delete the user. When the hex string is correct and you're logged in as admin. So it successfully deleted the user. And when we go to find it, you'll see 404 user not found. And just to verify, it is no longer in the database. So that is the user's endpoint for our restaurant API.
All right, that pushes us to the orders API, which works very similar to the user API. So first off, I'm not logged in, just for the record. So I'm going to go ahead and show that I do not have access here and even here. I'm going to go a little bit overkill here. Just bear with me. I do not have access anywhere. Just to kind of beat my own, just kind of go through and just say, hey, this is what's going on. Same thing I think happens with the user login. So let me go ahead and log in real quick. Click that link. And let me get all, that's the wrong area. So let me try, execute. I do not have permission to use the resource or method, and I believe I don't have the same thing with the user ID. Oh, I actually do. So, but that being said, it's a 422 error saying it's not allowed to be empty. So for the item name there, I accidentally showed, hey, that works. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and go into admin so I can do the rest of it. So let's get that ID real quick, or create a new user record or the order record. Sorry. So it's going to show, hey, we have user ID who made waffles 1, 2, and 3. We have two instances of waffle 3, so I'll delete one of those to show, hey, this works. Anyways, let's create an order for. Let's get the user ID real quick. It's my fault. So I'm going to give the user ID. Cancel that. I'm going to create banana waffles. And I need 1. And now it created saying, hey, we got a 200 code. Hey, we got banana waffles now. Let's go back to our order record to show we have banana waffles. On the same token, if I were to remove the one portion of the ID, hex string must be 24 characters. So that works properly. So get order record by ID. So we're going to go ahead and put this right here. Copy that in banana waffles. We'll go ahead and remove that for a moment. Say, hey, it must be a hex string of 24 characters to perform said function. Let's go ahead and put that back in. We got our banana waffles. Same thing's going to happen for our order ID updating orders. So let me try it out to show, hey, this isn't going to work. As I said, it's not going to work. Now let me go ahead and put that in there. So instead of banana waffles, I'm going to put pancakes. It would help if I would spell it correctly. And 1 thing of pancakes. So it updated it. Now let's say I were to update it and put it as empty, or even here. All the updated fields are optional. Yes. With optional fields, I apologize. Now, let's go ahead and look at that real quick. It topped to pancakes. Now, we have to do getting an order deleting. So let me go ahead and top that in. Parameter query must use a valid hex string. Let's delete that real quick. And you will see real quick, successfully deleted the order record with ID. Let's see if my pancakes are still there. They are not. So we have 3 instances of waffles. And let me go ahead and pull up the user ID real quick, just to show, hey, this works. First off, hex string of 24 characters to perform that function. And now it shows 24 waffles 3. So that all works properly. And that is the order section of this API.
I'll go and show off the inventory. So go and show that I am not an authenticated user. I have not logged in yet. So we want the get all and get by ID to be accessible by unauthenticated users, because that way anybody can check, see what's in stock, what the prices are. So you can see we've got waffles here, and apparently the answer to life itself down there. And I go ahead and show that get by ID will work while you're unauthenticated. I'll show the error handling, say I don't have a proper string. It still requires the hex string of 24 characters. So we'll show off the fact that post cannot be used by someone who's not authenticated, do not have access. Neither can put. So we will go ahead and get this here. See. Yeah, so post doesn't work, and then the put. If we can just try it out, do not have access, and the same with delete. Do not have access. So we'll go ahead and log in as a user. Oops. Log in. Go ahead and use that account. All right, go down to inventory as a user. We still have access to the get all and the get by ID, but we do not have access to the post. We will go ahead and show logging in as an admin. Go ahead and log in here. And now that we are going to be authenticated, I'm going to do the fast redirect. We can show that yes, we still have access to the get all, as anyone can use that. Inventory by ID. Should have that right there. Yep, there we go. And now we can also use the post, which we'll go ahead and show. All right, product name cannot be empty. So we will call it French toast. The price, well, let's go ahead and show price can't be empty. It's 12. What if we do 12 and 12, and we'll say better than pancakes, worse than waffles. Waffles. Hit execute. Price must be a number. It cannot be a string. And stock also cannot be a string. It has to be a number. So go and hit that. Hit execute. All right, there we go. We got a 200 response. We'll go ahead and show that we do in fact have it now. Yep, there it is. Go ahead and copy this. And we'll go ahead and update it. So see, this requires a proper hex ID. So, all right, And if we don't put anything in there, it doesn't update them. So we will change these to waffle cones. And we'll change the stock to 5. And there you go. We got now waffle cones, which are better than pancakes, worse than waffles. And we now have a stock of 5. And then we will go down to the delete, which sucks. It's deleted it, and also go to show error handling. Show, if you don't have a proper hex ID, and error handling if we try and delete something that isn't there. There's nothing to delete by that ID. And that shows off the inventory section.
All right. So now that we showed off our API documentation, we're now going to show off our unit testing to make sure that we did everything correctly. So we go into our VS Code, and you would get the package.json file, and then you would just do npm install. It'll use jest, so you just do npm test to run the jest for everything. So there's a test file. It looks like this. Get all tests. If I did npm test, we would have a response to the home route. It should give us this string. Go to the inventory. We should be getting something, at least in inventory, because we have stuff in the database. And if we get an ID, that ID is in there for a certain named item. So to get inventory by a specific item ID, it'll check to see there's something else. And each of these, should have a 200 response. As you can see, we did all passes for this whole suite. And since these are all unauthenticated routes, this was easier to test.